Have you ever woken up somewhere and immediately knew something was terribly wrong? Not because of a sound, not because of a shadow, but because every instinct inside your body was screaming that you shouldn't be there. That's exactly how my nightmare began. The moment I opened my eyes, the world around me felt wrong. Everything was blurry at first, like my brain was struggling to understand what it was seeing. Slowly, shapes began forming in the darkness. Soft pink walls, a strange oversized couch, and a room that looked like it belonged inside a children's television show. Except something about it felt deeply unsettling. I blinked several times, trying to focus. That's when I realized something even more disturbing. My body didn't feel like mine anymore. My hands looked strange, pale, gloved, and oversized. My clothes were bright, colorful, ridiculous. Then I reached up and touched my face, and felt a round rubber nose, a clown nose. My heart began pounding violently in my chest. What is this? I whispered. My voice sounded different too, higher, cartoonish. I slowly turned my head. Next to me, sitting silently on the giant couch, was a doll, a creepy doll dressed like a clown. Its glassy eyes were staring straight ahead, unblinking. For a moment, thus sat there, frozen. My brain desperately tried to convince me that I was dreaming, but everything felt too real. The texture of the couch beneath me, the weight of my body, the sound of my breathing echoing in the empty room. This wasn't a dream. I stood up slowly, my legs shaking. The room was enormous, almost unnaturally large, like everything had been designed for giants. The couch was massive, the ceiling felt impossibly high. Across the room I noticed a window. Finally, something normal. Maybe I could figure out where I was. I walked toward it cautiously, glancing back at the doll every few seconds. It hadn't moved, but something about it made my skin crawl. When I reached the window, I pulled the curtain slightly aside and peeked outside, and what I saw made my stomach drop. The world outside looked just as strange as the room. Bright colors, perfect sidewalks, houses that looked like they were drawn in a cartoon, and walking down the street were two clowns. They looked exactly like me. One of them had bright orange hair, purple shorts, and giant yellow shoes. The other was an elderly woman wearing a green sweater and a long purple skirt. They looked up, directly at me. Then they both smiled and waved, like they knew me, like they had been expecting me. A cold wave of fear ran down my spine. I slammed the curtain shut immediately and stumbled backward. No, no, no. My breathing became fast and shallow. I had no idea where I was. But I knew one thing for certain. I needed to get out. I hurried back to the couch, frantically searching through the cushions, hoping to find something useful. A phone, a key, anything. Then suddenly my hand brushed against something sharp. I pulled my hand back quickly, expecting blood. But instead I saw a small seashell hidden between the cushions. A seashell, confused. I picked it up. Out of curiosity, I held it up to my ear. At first, I heard the familiar sound people always describe when listening to seashells. The ocean, soft waves, whined, but then another sound emerged beneath it. A voice, low, whispering, cold, "Obey the doll." My entire body froze. I threw the seashell across the room instantly. It clattered loudly against the wall. I slowly turned my head. The doll was still sitting on the couch, but something was different. Its head had moved. It was now facing me, and it was smiling. My heart nearly stopped. Then the doll spoke. Its voice was soft, childish, but something about it felt deeply malicious. "But you are home." My mind raced. This thing was talking. That meant one thing. I wasn't safe here. I backed away slowly, my eyes locked on the doll. "I just want to go home," I said. The doll tilted its head slightly. "There's nowhere else to go." My hands were trembling. "There has to be a way out." The doll's smile widened. "Unless..." My heart skipped a beat. "Unless what?" I asked. It clapped its tiny hands together excitedly. "You play the clock game. I had no idea what that meant, but if it was the only way out, I didn't have much choice. What do I have to do? The doll pointed across the room. On the floor was a giant rug shaped like a clock. Numbers from 1 to 12 surrounded it. Lay down on the clock, the doll said sweetly. Then touch the numbers I choose. That's it. The doll giggled. Of course, there's one rule. What rule? You must smile the entire time. My stomach tightened, and if I stopped smiling, the doll's voice dropped to a whisper. Then you belong to me forever. I hesitated. Every instinct told me this was a terrible idea. But staying here forever was even worse. Slowly, I walked toward the clock rug. I laid down on it. Ready? The doll asked. I forced a smile. Ready? Good. First, touch number 12 with your right hand. That was easy. I stretched my arm upward. Good. Now touch number 1 with your left hand. Still manageable. But the positions were getting awkward. The doll's grin widened. Now reach number 2 with your right arm. Without moving your shoulder. That was impossible. But I tried anyway. My arm stretched painfully. I felt something crack. Pain shot through my body, but I kept smiling. Perfect, the doll whispered. Now place your left leg on number 3. I knew what that meant. More pain, but I forced my leg outward until I heard another horrible crack. Tears streamed down my face, but I didn't stop smiling. The doll clapped excitedly. You're doing so well. Then it leaned forward. Now, the final number. My body was already twisted into an unnatural shape. What number? I asked weakly. The doll's eyes gleamed. Number 6, with your head. My blood ran cold. That was impossible. My body was already broken. But I had come too far. I couldn't give up now. Slowly, painfully, I began twisting my neck. Further, further, bones grinding, muscles tearing. I kept smiling, but it still wasn't enough. My head couldn't reach. The doll slowly stood up. Reaching beneath the couch pillow, it pulled out a knife. The smile never left its face. That was fun, it said softly, but unfortunately, you lost. And as the doll began walking toward me, I finally realized the truth. This wasn't a game, it was a trap, and I was never meant to escape.